I've always wanted to have a Christmas tree skirt, and now I can, and so can you. This is the Winter Wonderland Christmas tree skirt, and I originally designed it for Simply Crochet magazine. It features lovely snowflakes falling down, Christmas trees, a lovely garland, and your nice woodland houses along the bottom. So it goes all the way around, and it's worked in kind of in sections. So you can see it's worked in like a circle, but it's 6 sections like that. We use Tapestry Crochet for this project, which sounds complicated, but it's really not. The only stitches you're going to need are single crochet, which is the US term, so that's double crochet in UK terms, and the bobble stitches. Apart from that, it's all just colour work. So we change colour on the last yarn over of the previous stitch, which I will show you how to do. It's really simple, and we always carry our yarn on the wrong side where we need to carry it. Obviously a lot of this pattern is just one colour, so you can see it starts, there it starts up there, and all of this is just in the silver, and then the colour work comes later. I'm not going to make the whole thing with you because that will be too much, okay, but I will make a section and I will show you how the changes of the colours work. So I'll make a section from down here, and I'll also show you how to do the bobbles and all of that, but it will be slightly different to the actual pattern. Okay, so I used Karen Simply Soft for this project. It's a, got my belly in there, I'm going to come down, just zoomed out massively. It's a lovely 100% acrylic yarn, and you get 170 grams in a ball, 315 yards and 288 meters. So I used the colors, what's this, cool green, I also used chocolate, and I also used what is this color called, autumn red. I don't have much of that left, but I've got enough to show you. And then you'll also need Karen Simply Soft Party, which is a sparkly yarn. I don't know if you can see the sparkle running through that. It's really lovely. Obviously, this is a 99% acrylic and 100% metallic, and you only get 85 grams in a ball, so watch out for that when you're ordering your yarn. But you can use any yarn for this pattern. You could use different colours. You could make it white, you could for the snow, or like a creamy colour, or a full-on silver rather than this grey with the sparkle running through it. This colour that I'm using is called Silver Sparkle, by the way, just so you know. So these are all worsted weight yarns, a category 4 Aran. All of those will work, and you will want to stick vaguely to the same gauge, because otherwise you are not going to make yours for the right size. The hole in the top is 12 centimetres or 5.5 inches across, and the whole diameter of the Christmas tree skirt is 94 centimetres or 37 inches. Okay, so for your gauge, you're going to want to match my tension, because you want to make sure your stitches are nice and tight together, so it gets a nice firm fabric. So that's 18 stitches and 17 rows of US single crochet, okay, and that makes 10 centimeters. So you'll just want to do a small swatch to measure that yourself, okay, and the swatch can just be in single crochet, so that's just straightforward. Okay, so I think we are about ready to get started. You'll also need a crochet hook. Obviously a 5mm crochet hook is what I use, but you'll need to use whatever matches the gauge for you, and you'll need some scissors and a needle and possibly some stitch markers if you like to use them. So I'm going to start working the pattern, and then I'm going to skip a little bit so that I can show you what the colour work looks like. Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning though, and I'm going to work, rather than working these 61 chains, I'm going to chain 11, and I'm going to be using this lovely silver. So let's get started. So I'm going to start now by putting a slip knot on my hook, and then we're going to chain. Now you need to go and find the actual pattern because I'm not making the whole pattern here, so you will need to find the actual pattern and download that or view it on the blog. That's the two options. You can either get it as a PDF or you can view it on the blog. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to chain 11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? And you will be chaining more than that. We're then going to start in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do single crochets across. As I said, this is in US terms. If you're in UK terms, it is a double crochet. Okay. If you are using this yarn, just be a bit careful with it because you can catch the metallic strands and separate them. Okay, so the way that this pattern works is that we work in sections. So I'm just working one of the sections, and you will find that the sections just appear as you're working. So we add increases, and we add 6 increases per row, and that is how it grows. Okay, so that is row 1 essentially. You will have more, but that is row 1, and then we turn. We then chain 1, and then we make 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and this is how we do our increase, which is what I was just talking about. Okay, and if you're working the whole pattern, you'll increase here, and then you'll work single crochets across, and then you'll increase again for your next bit, and that will turn the corner, that will make the corner appear. Okay, so I'm not actually single crocheting all the way across because we've got some bobbles here. Okay, so we're going to do one single crochet in the next stitch, and then we are going to do a bobble. Now this is I'm just going to see how many times I go through. This is a 6 double crochet bobble. Okay, perfect. So we yarn over, we insert our hook into the stitch, the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then we yarn over, insert back in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and we keep repeating that until we have 7 loops on our hook. 5, 6, 7. Okay, and you will have created 6 double crochets there. Okay, well, parts of the double crochet, and then we yarn over and we pull through all of them, and that creates our bobble. Okay, and then we're going to do 7 single crochets, and that is going to be your repeat. So you'll then go on and repeat that again. So two single crochets in the first stitch, then a single crochet, then a bobble, and then 7 single crochets. Okay, and you'll work all the way to the end, and then you'll turn. So it works almost like a circle, except that we are turning at the end and not joining it into a circle. And then we add ties at the end. Okay, and then we turn. So the bobbles now appeared on this side. So when you work a bobble, you work it on the wrong side, and then it appears on the right side. And then we move on to row 3. Row 3, we chain 1. Then again, we do 2 single crochets in that first stitch, and that increases again. Okay, and then we've got 10 single crochets across the rest of this row. Yours obviously will be more. You will have your increases after every 10 single crochets. You'll then do 2 in the next stitch, and we just carry on like that. So I think this section is kind of self-explanatory now, and I can move on to show you some of the colour work in a moment. I'll add a few more rows in first so that it's a little bit bigger and we can see what we're doing, and then I will come back and show you how to change colour for the colour section. Okay, so I'll just explain a little bit about the pattern as I am here, whilst I just work some more rows. So the pattern has brackets in there, and it also has nested brackets. Okay, so if you've got a nested bracket, you need to work the parts within the inside brackets every time you repeat the outside brackets, if that makes sense. Just work across the row as you would, and then when you get to a bracket you repeat whatever's all the way back to the opening bracket. You'll also find in the PDF version of the pattern that there is a colour chart, so the all of the pattern is laid out in squares, so you can work from that if you prefer. I find that easier actually for this, because one square represents one single crochet and you just go across your rows and change colour, and it's easier to keep track of where you are rather than following from the written pattern. If you're using the blog, it's only got the written pattern in the blog, because that's kind of a perk of getting the page pattern, if that makes sense. I mean, this is a really straightforward pattern once you get going with it, so just, yeah, have a go really and work your way. You can see mine's increasing now, and yours obviously would be increasing on all of the sides, because it would go round and you'll have a lot more to be working with than I do. Okay, I'm just going to show you one more bobble, and then we are going to go on to making the showing you the colour work. So I'm going to make one of the little house motifs for you and show you how it will all work. Okay, so we yarn over for the bobble, insert into the stitch, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through two, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, and the last time, yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. We've got 7 loops on our hook. Now we yarn over and pull through all 7, okay? And then we single crochet into the next stitches. Okay, so you will need to follow the pattern, but as I said, this is just an example of how it is going to look. Right, so we're still, when we're working the colour work rows, we still chain 1 at the start, we still do our increases in the starting stitches, okay? I'm not going to do that because I'm essentially showing you a small section. Okay, so you work with the main colour unless it tells you to change in the pattern, and when it tells you to change, then you continue working with the new colour. Okay, so I am doing a number of stitches, and this is my last stitch now before I change colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to complete the stitch. You see, I've inserted my hook, grabbed the loop and pulled it through, but now I'm not going to do the last yarn over and pull through. Okay, that bit I'm going to do with my other colour. So that is my brown for the house. So I'm going to place the brown on the top of my hook and pull it through like that. Okay, and this is the front of my work, so I want to hold all the ends at the back. So I'm just going to carry on the silver, and I'm going to enclose it in the back of my work. If you can see, it's there, and the brown end. So they're all enclosed in that stitch. Now I've only got 1 stitch in this brown colour to start with. So straight away, before I've even done that whole stitch, I'm changing back to the silver on that last yarn over and pull through, okay? And then I'm going to carry on with the silver to the end of the row. I'm actually going to leave the brown where it is, because we don't need that until we get back there in a minute. If you're working obviously multiples of the houses, you're going to want to carry that along the back of your work the whole way, okay? So then I'm going to turn, and you can see that this is the back now, and we need to remember to carry our yarn on the back of the work the whole time, okay? Not on the not on the furthest side away from us each time, the actual back of the work, wrong side as it were. Okay, so now I'm going to do 3 browns on this row. So to change colour when your wrong side is facing you, you finish the stitch as we did before. This time I'm pulling the yarn forward, okay? And I'm getting my new colour, which is the brown here. And I'm pulling that through like that. And it might look messy on this side, but that does not really matter. And we're going to carry this silver along the front now, which is the back essentially. So it is a bit tricky, this little bit, to find the stitch. But once you've done the first one, it's really quite straightforward. And you want to carry that silver along as well, because you want to have that ready to pick up when we get back. Okay, so into the stitch, and I'm enclosing the silver. And that's my last brown stitch. So again, I'm going to move the brown in the front. And you might find that you get a bit tangled. But that's okay. And the next row, I'm going to need the brown another stitch further along, okay? So you can just carry that along as you need to. Obviously in the actual pattern you will need to carry it along the whole way, because you need it multiple times for making all the different houses, okay? Oops. Okay, so then we turn, and you can see our front, and that is the top of the roof of my house. And we carry on in the same manner. So this time I'm moving outwards, and I'm going to be joining my brown yarn in here again. So I just grab hold of it there and keep the silver to the back. And we work into the next 2 stitches. And then we swap back again. Oops. And this is how it will be in the pattern, this part. And then we've got 1 in the silver, and then we swap back to the brown for 2 more stitches, okay? Oh dear, I keep losing it. And then we swap back to the silver again. Okay, so I think you're kind of getting the idea of it now, hopefully. And you work this in exactly the same way, carrying the yarn across the back. And if you've got multiple colours that you're working at the same time, you carry those. So when we get down to the door, you'll have the brown and the red, and you will just carry them across in the same way, okay? So I think that is all you need to know, really, to be able to go and make it yourself. When you get to the end, you'll want to make some ties. These are just simple ties that you'll use to tie your Christmas tree skirt together, and that will be fairly straightforward to do as well. I'll just show you them now, shall I? But you can see how I'm doing it basically. We just keep moving across and keeping that silver on the front, on the back, sorry, to keep a nice neat edging like that. Okay, and you'll see that you will create your little house like that. So these are the ties. and we join them in at the end. So to do that, you're going to join in the rows that it says to join into. So you just join your hook into the row end like so, just pushing it through. Grab your yarn, I know this is the wrong colour, but pop your yarn over and join it on, and then you just chain 20, and then we slip stitch back along the chain and fasten off, and that is your ties done. And you're going to do 12, and they are in all of the places where it says on the pattern. Basically they are evenly spaced along the edge of your Christmas tree skirt. And that is basically it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and you're going to make your own Christmas tree skirt. I don't think there's a lot of tricky bits in it. It's just changing colour and making sure to carry your yarn on the back of your work rather than on the front, and making the bobbles. But apart from that, fairly straightforward. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you're going to make your own Christmas tree skirt. Come and share it in my Facebook group, the Concrete Gems Crochet community, and also tag me Concrete Gems Crochet on socials. I hope to see you again for another tutorial. Bye for now.